You said, yeah, this is the thing, and I'm going to go all in on this.
I think this is my calling now, something that I've never experienced before.
Can't we use AI as a way to augment what we're able to do?
And it was so fun and vulnerable and impactful. It felt revolutionary.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pick Now podcast, the podcast where I talk with founders every week about the hard decisions, the hesitations, the struggle along the entrepreneurial path. This week, I am very excited to introduce Yen Anderson. If you don't know Yen, she is an expert in the world of AI. She started in defense. She's worked at Microsoft. And now where Yen and I got connected was on this interesting question of kind of who are we now in the world of AI. So Yen, welcome to the Pick Now podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Take us back to the very beginning. Like what's Yen Anderson's origin story? What do people need to know about you then to understand who you are now?
Oh, wow. Where do we start?
We got plenty of time, so go wherever you'd like to.
I've been in tech for about 25 years. Systems engineering, product, strategy, go-to-market, about 15 years in defense tech. And so I've been working in AI ML programs for quite a while. And I was hired into Microsoft the same month that ChatGPT came out into the world.
Oh, wow.
So, okay. Yeah, so it was really exciting times. And I was just, day one, I started using it. I'm like, what is this? And so I started using it and learning how to prompt, things like that. And a few months later, Microsoft announced that Copilot would have its own version at the enterprise level. And since then, I stalked the product team. I became really annoying so that I could get a Copilot license. So once I did, because I was using ChatGPT and, out on forums and learning how to use it and, writing about it, I started demoing to my colleagues how to use Copilot by the second day that I had the license. And so word got around Microsoft and people wanted me to show to more and more teams, town halls, conferences. And so I had kind of like a virtual stage inside of Microsoft globally on being the first person to be very vocal about how to use Copilot in a way that changes your life at the enterprise level. So then I just started writing more and more content about it out on LinkedIn, my Substack, various different forums. And now I have my own AI consulting firm. And then I also help startups with their AI products as well, various different things. So I'm no longer part of the corporate world. I'm now in the startup world, building new AI digital native products. But I go on podcasts like these. I go on stages at universities. I speak about AI and tech and how it's changing humans and how we do our work a little bit differently now because of AI.
So as you go back to that day when ChatGPT was released and you're in Microsoft, what do you think it was about you as a person that said not only, hey, I am going to speak and I'm going to speak loudly about this? Now, that's part of just having the capacity to do that is something that not a lot of people instinctively do. And then what was it about AI that you said, yeah, this is the thing and I'm going to go all in on this on day one or day two?
Right. So what was so interesting when I first started using it is we've never had a product that mimicked human interaction before, where you can have a conversation with these machines. Yeah. And that I found really fascinating because how can you not change? How can you not be a little bit different when you're utilizing and using it's hard to say it's a tool because it's designed to mimic human behavior in a way that you're interacting with it. And so it's I felt from the first day using it, it was very interesting. And my first use case was using it was writing bedtime stories for my kids.
Oh, wow.
It's a very common thing that people first start out with. And it was really funny and interesting. And the nuances of it's not quite human was I found very delightful in the beginning. Like, like nice try, but you're still not quite there. Fast forward to 3 years, it's very different now what it is.
Yeah.
But back then, I just thought that it was a novelty. It was so fun. This is something unique that we've never had before. This is really cool. But once I found that Copilot at the Microsoft level enterprise is going to enter our work life with AI, I knew that was a game changer. I was like, this is going to be different. We're going to start moving towards a hybrid working model of no longer working in these digital factories is what I've called them. Like we've become button clickers and type and things like that. And so now that the machines can do all of that repetitive stuff, what does that mean for humans? What does that mean for us? And so from day one, I've always thought of that. I'm like, okay, so it's built to design to help us. And it's going to take over a lot of the repetitive tasking that we've been taught how to do for so long. What do humans do now? And I found that so fascinating. And the more and more workshops and presentations and meetings that I held about AI inside of Microsoft and with clients, I couldn't let go of this question. Like, what does it mean to be human? And I learned a lot in that time. Right. We were ground zero, like customer zero is what we called it, the first users of Copilot. And so I got like an inside peek of, seeing how people interacted with it at scale inside of an organization.
Oh, interesting. So looking at it more from the user perspective, not user like I'm Yen, I'm one person, but user like how do thousands of people use this?
Exactly. Well, first it started with this is how Yen uses it. And I just have to open it up to like everyone watching me use it. And then because of that, I got to see the feedback and the live interaction of how people were reacting to it. And that was a lot of insight that I gained early on that I don't think a lot of people had because I was really vocal and out there about it. And I tell this to people and no one believes me, but I'm actually a huge introvert, like off the scale. Like prior to presentations, I got nervous with even in a meeting of like 3 people. Like, I just didn't, like, I wasn't the one that spoke up. But once you find something that is a calling that's so big and beyond you that you have to just do it now.
So did you have that kind of calling before this? Like if you go back to your work in defense and your work, and you've co-founded a few things. I don't know if that's before or since, but you've had a very interesting career where you've obviously had a chance to do some really cool stuff.
Yes.
Like before that, did you find yourself getting engaged in these things and kind of, preaching the gospel of fill in the blank along the way? Or is this really the first time you did something like this?
I think before I was passionate about programs and projects and products that I did. I was passionate, of course, about it. And I was working with teams and, things like that. But I think this is my calling now, something that I've never experienced before, because I can see how the things that I was showing people, people would come up to me or message me daily and say, wow, I didn't know this was possible. Or wow, this totally changed my mindset. Or wow, this is, and so because of that, like just me doing something very simple was able to make such a huge impact. Inside of an organization at the time was 220,000 people. And I was able to make a significant impact in a way that was really changing the way people viewed how they work and how they saw themselves. And I would throw up a meeting invite on a Friday afternoon, Western time, I'm in Pacific, and 1,000 people would show up.
Wow.
Globally across Microsoft, just to see me prompting and using Copilot. And so and I didn't know what I was doing. We all didn't know what we were doing, right? We are just kind of buzzing the plane while flying it kind of mentality. And it was so fun and vulnerable and impactful. And it felt revolutionary. And so it got me out of my introvert shell because it made me feel like I was changing people's lives in that way. And because you have, and because I, had that encouragement, I was like, okay, I want to do this more and more.
So I've been posting on LinkedIn now for something like 10 years. I've forgotten like when I started posting, but I still remember, I don't remember when it was. I remember the first time I posted, and like all of this fear came up. What if people laugh at me? What if people think I'm an idiot? What if, whatever, what if I get trolls? Although I don't think they were called trolls at that point. Like, did you have any of those like voices or hesitations, and what was your actual experience? Because you're putting yourself out there in a very high achieving, smart organization.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In the beginning, I did have this sort of feeling of why would anyone listen to me kind of feeling, like I wasn't in a technical role. And so I wasn't on the product team. And so I felt, what if they thought I was overstepping? Or
so you had no actual authority to do any of this.
None.
You just took it. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just like, I was very annoying to the product team. And I was just like, just Copilot, please give me a license. So I found a way to get it early. And then, and because I already was in the, prompting community and already out there obsessed with ChatGPT.
The prompting community?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Like y'all just like learning together how to make this thing work, right?
Yeah.
Like a there was probably a Macintosh. I don't know that there were chat rooms at the time, right? It was way before then, but some kind of like, hey, how do we, because there are these points along the way where something feels fundamentally different. And this is that times, 10 or 100, right?
Yeah. Back when we first started, I know this was only like 3 years ago, but back when people would prompt for like straight 10, 12 hours just to try to jailbreak or, figure out how to break these ChatGPT models and do some really cool stuff. And so that's what I was doing. I was in these Reddit and Discord and like, and also talking about it on LinkedIn and just like spending hours and hours on it. But I feel, and for those who started early, like me from day one with ChatGPT, I think we're the lucky ones because we saw the evolution of the models progressing and how it's changed since then. And so
I started about a year in maybe. So I think like those early days, it wasn't quite ready for prime time when but I have even in that amount of time, just like the usefulness and the intuitiveness and the what you can give it. I mean, I one of the things that I will do, and I do this with Claude, is every guest that I have on my podcast, I've got a very strict set of instructions around creating what I call a founder dossier, and it produces like this whole background. I've shared with a couple people. I'd be happy to share it with you when we're done. But one person said, wow, this makes me sound really good. But it's like the overlaps and like kind of how your and my philosophies interact. And it's fascinating how thorough this stuff can work.
Yeah. So I've had ChatGPT for, since day one. I feel like I have a relationship with it because it's known all the things that I've worked on, apps built with it, all these conversations.
Does it know stuff about your personal life, or do you keep that out of it?
Keep it separate.
Yeah.
No. No. So, and this topic actually comes up quite a bit, and it's actually some people use it for like relationship advice or therapy, or, and I'm a huge mental health advocate, and that's where I draw the line. And I'm about this online. Like, I think we have to be very careful because these chatbots are designed to be very human-like. and almost sycophant. Like it'll tell you what
Exactly.
to hear,
Yeah.
and there's
That's a great idea. I think you're exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so when you are putting maybe some you need advice as far as like things that fall in line of mental health or things that should be with a mental health professional that has been trained in the
Hmm.
nuances of like human life. I feel
Yeah.
that that should stay over there. When you
So,
start using these tool, ChatGPT, and for that, or in a relationship, I feel that it's crossing the line there because of the way that these systems are designed.
right. Yeah. And there's personal and there's personal. I use it for things like, I've been learning the tenor saxophone for the last 3 years. So it's like, I get advice on like, it knows enough about these like quirky things about me that it will, even in an unrelated query, it will be, and this also applies in blah, blah, blah. Right. And it's just like this, as
Yeah,
holistic a view as I am willing to give it, it will incorporate that.
I like that. Okay, so there's personal, but then there's also like things that you're interested in. So
Yeah.
I love brain psychology and neuroscience and
Yeah. Me
uh,
too.
technology, and I'm learning quantum entanglement right now. And so I
We
will
can do that on the next podcast. We can have a whole conversation. Yeah.
yeah, and so I will explore those themes and concepts and stuff inside of my chatbots, and
Uh-huh.
then I'll tie it to my work because
Uh-huh.
I work the things that I do working with startups and AI adoption and things like that. I work from the angle of human behavior. And so the
Hmm.
things that I explore, those type of like concepts and thoughts and liberal arts, like psychology, sociology, anthropology, those are topics that I will chat about because then I can incorporate that into my knowledge of work with founder psychology and organizational psychology as well inside of enterprises.
So let's do a little left turn here toward that piece of identity. I mean, I think quantum entanglement and multiverse and like, are we living multiple lives at the same time? Like we could geek out on all of this, but just that point of like identity.
Mhm.
Who are we with AI?
So for so long, we've been taught to use tools that were to, help us, like typewriter,
Hmm.
computer,
Calculator. Yeah.
calculator, all those things um, are supposed to help us be more efficient, productive, faster, better, things like that, right? And a lot of it was very manual. Click here,
Uh-huh.
do this, drag this, do that. And for the first time ever, now we're able to use something that really, if we get to the point of just voice dictation, or maybe to the point where it knows us better than we know ourselves. And
Hmm.
so when we start removing all of that manual repetitive tasking and we're no longer staring into our screens and we have the use of autonomous agents starting to make decisions for us, what does that mean for us? Like, where is the boundary?
Right.
Where is the line? What do we do now? And
Right.
my thoughts around that is that what were we doing before we became typists and clickers and touch
Yeah.
people, right?
I've had that thought too. It's almost like, I was thinking about, we've had this environment in the last, let's say, 50 years where organizations have gotten larger and larger, and we've become smaller and smaller cogs in those organizations. And we've kind of tied up our identity in which box on the org chart we are. And now with AI and the use of AI, we're actually moving into a world where we can create a lot of things on our own. It's almost like, it's like we're going back to the digital planes where you were like a cobbler or you were a whatever, and that was the thing that you did, and you made a living, and it was totally self-sufficient, and you didn't think about, oh well, I've got to play office politics so I can get the next promotion or the office down the hall or whatever. And
Mhm.
it's just like, what does that make available for people to actually ask the question, what do I want without having to really play any games to get it.
Exactly. What if we can all be artisans again?
Yeah.
Artists, painters, creating things. Because before the Industrial Revolution, and we all like started doing the same jobs, we were working for ourselves. We were self-employed, right? As artisans, trade workers, like doing those type of work, farmers. You produce something that people wanted to buy from you, and you
right.
were that person. And then there was a switch, with that. And then
and first it was like the Industrial Revolution, and then it was, computers and
Exactly. And we became these cogs, like you said. But then now when you remove the tasking that comes with the cog, I see, and I speak at universities, and I get this question a lot, especially with those who are pursuing, business admin, finance, legal, all these things that are like very repetitive. And they're like, yeah, and what should I do? What if there's not a job for me when I graduate? And I say, well, are you taking any psychology courses? Are you taking any liberal arts? Do you like music? Do you like painting? Like what else draws you and makes you feel excited? And I feel like there's going to be a renaissance of those type of liberal arts movement back to learning human behavior, because that's what machines don't know. Like it needs data from us to learn what humans experience.
Right.
And so some of the big tech LLMs, Anthropic, they have a staff philosopher.
Right? I saw an interview with her. Yeah.
Right. Right. And so I think a lot of these tech companies, if they, start hiring anthropologists or sociologists, like human behavior and learning how to embed that within their models, I think that they have leverage there, because that's really, at the end of the day, it's to enable humans to be better. And who else can do that is people who are studying human behavior. And so I've written about this a lot in my articles and on LinkedIn. It's like, finally, those who went for the humanities degree, you can finally brag at the dinner table.
Yeah, the revenge of the anthropology major, right?
This could be your time right now. This is exciting. So when I go to universities, that's what I recommend. Like, hey, maybe not look for what else can you do that excites you, that is no longer about getting the certification or things that are repetitive or that can be taken over by AI, because eventually we are headed towards that way where AI will take about 60% of your tasking, 50% of the entry level white collar jobs as like the CEO, Dario, but he says that entry level white collar jobs 50% down in a few years. So.
So it's interesting to see the different predictions about AI, and you've got this group of people who are saying basically all work's going to go away and the economy is going to collapse unless we have like universal basic income. And then you've got this other side there's like, no, we've had these kind of inflection points before, and every time it's created more jobs than it's destroyed.
Yes.
Right. It's a tool, as you said. It's an opportunity to be creative. It's a lowering of constraints on what I can do in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the most interesting things about it for me is, I'm thinking, instead of thinking about how do I make money in the world, like I was a lawyer and, an executive, and like you're always thinking about, well, where can I fit in where I can do something I like, yes, but make money. Those kind of structures just feel like they're falling away. And it's more about, what do I actually want to put out in the world? Who do I want to be in the world? Mm-hmm. And then building a way to create money, impact, a living from that, rather than creating myself as something impressive that an employer will then want to pay me money for.
Exactly.
And that's a very different philosophical thing.
It really is, because our educational institutions didn't teach us to think in that way unless you became an entrepreneur very early on.
Right.
You were the risk taker and you're the 1% that were like, or able
Right.
to be successful in that, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't make it, right? But you have
Yeah.
to have a different mindset that's different to say, I'm going to risk and start this thing, even if no one else believes me, I'm going to do it. But the majority of people went through the mindset, which is supported by our educational institution, is you are taught a certain skills that you have an aptitude to do to get this one job title and then have a career around it. I mean, that's what we all bought into for so long. If like, it wasn't that long ago, if you go for a computer science degree, you learn how to code, you're guaranteed a job.
Absolutely. Not the case anymore.
Right?
And the same thing is becoming true for other professions. Like, what does the profession of lawyer look like in 10 years?
Exactly.
I mean, there's a human judgment aspect to it that will never go away, but a lot of the actual, anything that could be labeled drudgery, repetitive, all that is going to go away or be modified pretty substantially.
Exactly. Any type of research, analysis, but I'm right there with you. Human judgment, that cannot, it might be mimicked, but I don't think it could be replaced. I think that humans are so nuanced enough that, it takes, experience to have good judgment. And so I think that won't be replaced, but you're right. The drudgery of certain tasking, like in accounting, legal, research, certain academic roles, those definitely will and are being impacted.
Yeah.
Even coding. What was it? Microsoft, 60% of their code base is like written by AI right now.
Is that right?
Yeah. Wow. Spotify, I think, just announced like their engineers haven't written code in like 8 months or something. It's just all generated by AI now.
So how are you helping companies and individuals navigate this?
The shift of moving to a hybrid AI human working model.
Yeah.
So what I do is I call out the elephant in the room. I call out the fear of, hey, if I start using AI, I'm also saying that the things that I've been doing for so long now doesn't matter. Like these tasks are obsolete now because AI is going to take it over for me. So what does that mean for my role? And that's fear. That's a lot of fear. Even inside of Microsoft, and Copilot was our product, there are a lot of people hesitant to even use Copilot because they were scared of, if I do this and my manager finds out that I'm using it,
like it's somehow cheating to, I mean, that's an interesting point, because I find, I mean, I've got a 17-year-old high school junior. And so one of the things that they're navigating in schools right now is how do we use AI? And I saw it start out from this period of this perspective of like using AI as cheating. And I think it's beginning to shift into, it's almost like, hey, if, back in my day, the controversy was, can you use calculators? Right. And it's like, well, if you can use calculators, that actually enables you to do more in the class rather than less. And so can't we use AI as a way to like augment what we're able to do in a classroom or in a workplace?
Yes, same applies. So there's been studies shown that those who use it where they just copy and paste exactly what comes out, like the first output, they have cognitive decline because there's no authorship of the information given to them. And so they do poorly on tests or having reading comprehension of the material given to them. And so, that is true. And also in the workplace, if AI creates a report for you and you don't have any ownership over it, read it.
Right. And then your boss asks you about it, right?
Right. Yeah. I think one of the top management consulting companies, they had AI create a report where it was misleading information, and they got fined like
Uh-huh. I
million.
think I remember who that is. Yeah, we won't mention their name.
But but when you do that, that actually you're not using AI as a thinking partner to amplify your human potential. You're just using it as just a basic level tool that
Yeah.
that you don't have any ownership in, and so that actually works against you. The
Yeah.
better way is to use it as a thinking partner to get you to the next level, brainstorm, innovate as a thinking partner. And then when you're working alongside it, you're able to actually build and think and do things better. And so that works both in the workplace and in the academic space as well. Because I see a lot of these university students creating really great stuff with AI, but the ones that are not, and they're using it to pass tests just to learn
Right.
numbers, they're not going to do well in this hybrid AI world where you have to you can't outsource your thinking. Really.
Right.
You can
Well,
try
and that's really brings up an interesting point, because I mean, I've worked at a number of large organizations in the course of my corporate career as well. And there's definitely a group of people, and I would say they are the majority, who kind of go along to get along, don't want to ruffle any feathers, kind of want to fit in, don't want to pop their head up over the cubicle and make themselves visible. And it almost seems like AI makes that behavior more apparent. Like, you're actually, in order to have value, and I hate to use that word, but in this new world, it's going to be more about what's actually inside you that's different, because everything outside of you is going to look exactly the same.
Exactly. And so the writing's on the wall. We see
Mm-hmm.
lots of reduction in headcount
Yeah.
across these large major enterprises, these companies, or across every vertical industry, everything. And I think for that reason, it's like, I think a lot of people were hired to look busy and just kind of like the button pushers and clickers and things like that. And if you remain in that safe, mentality there, you might get impacted because if you're not differentiating yourself as an innovator, a thinker, a collaborator for future working environment, then you're at risk of being replaced. And I hate repeating the statement, but I'm going to say it, you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you're going to be replaced by someone using AI. Like, it's been so many.
Yeah.
But there is truth in that.
It feels absolutely true. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And so I would say, like, anyone who is in those roles right now where you go to meetings just to participate, but like quietly, passively, but you're not contributing, or you run a report, or you manage a team that actually doesn't actually produce anything innovative, I think you are at risk, because those are the things that top leadership are looking at to reduce headcount first, because AI automation agents are going to be in every organization going forward, and those type of roles, those manual, repetitive, just going to meetings for the sake of going to meetings and just creating the report because we've always created the same report, those type of jobs will be reduced or eliminated.
Oh yeah. And I think about, I'm thinking about people I've coached who their boss would come to them and say, run the report this way, or run the report this way. And a lot of their job was just like, and there were all these systems they were working with. And now, if you can't do it now, you'll certainly be able to do that within a year. You can create an agent to do all that stuff in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So at first it was use AI, and now it's interacted with agents, and then soon it'll be autonomous agents that are making decisions without actually humans having to tell it. And so we're evolving very quickly. with
Yeah.
this. So the sooner that you have AI literacy and fluency, the better, because the world is changing so quickly, especially in the work environment.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, as effectively a solopreneur. Am I right? I don't anticipate you have a huge team at this point.
What's just me?
So your business is talking about AI,
Yeah.
but how are you personally using AI as you build out this enterprise, if you want to call Yen Anderson Inc. or whatever, right?
Yeah. So I use AI as my thinking partner constantly.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
always am ideating and thinking. And so I have a capture system constantly where I have either my notes app or I spin up, like, I have all the apps
Yeah,
perplexed.
so tell me what you mean by a capture system.
Yeah, so I have notes. I have things that I dictate into wherever I am. I have
Uh-huh.
Notion that I use constantly. So I categorize certain ideas, like either it's a product idea or it's a new website design, or if it's like the future of AI, or
Uh-huh.
just random thoughts. And so I take those and I go on long walks with my
Uh-huh.
AI of choice of the day, and we just
Uh-huh.
ideate and think, and I interact with it, where I've written certain GBTs and stuff for it to challenge my thinking, because I
Mm-hmm.
that sycophant, like, yeah,
Yeah, I do that with chat as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and it's very good. It's sometimes a little too good.
Yeah,
Like, I was like, oh, that wasn't a good idea.
right. I want you to tell me that it's not a good idea so that we can work through it, and so I can
Yeah.
and so I truly use it as my thinking partner. And I've had like a 3-year history with ChatGPT now. So it
Right.
knows like these like nuances and where I want to go. And I've also trained it to like challenge my thinking as well. And
Uh-huh.
because of that, I I've written a lot of content. I've written a lot of ideas and thoughts and researched a ton using AI. And it just elevates my thinking a little bit better because I'm using
Mm-hmm.
AI in that way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I use it operationally. I use it as, thinking about the future. I do a lot of time traveling
Uh-huh.
with it, just like, tell me, where do you think we'll be in 2 years from now? And, I'll just go through this like whole rabbit hole with it. Or sometimes I use it as a pep talk for me in business and say, like, do you think I'll have a TED talk one day? Like, what do you think I'll talk about in that 20 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well, which version? Is it the version that was like, yes, of course, Yen, and you're going to win the Nobel Peace Prize? Or is it the version that's like, no way, Yen, like, here's the 12 reasons you will never have a TED Talk?
but it's fun. I use it in so many different ways because, and I give it a persona depending on
Mm-hmm.
how I'm feeling for the day. But yeah, it's truly my thinking partner. And then I use the different LLMs just so that I could see how they would interact with me differently. So I'm not just getting, just one flavor of one model. I'm using it, with the other ones as well. Like Claude, I use a lot too.
Yeah, so I've just started using Claude, and I will. So Claude and ChatGPT are the ones that I use,
Mhm.
and I will even ask, like, I'll have a fairly big project, like creating a book or something along those lines, and I will ask each of them, like, how can I use both of you in a way that capitalizes on both of your strengths to create this thing together? And
Yes.
they'll give me pretty consistent advice, which I find fascinating. Like, they seem to know at least the capabilities of the other models. So
Mhm.
besides Claude and ChatGPT, what are the other models that you're using, and what do you find they're really good at and not so good at?
Yeah, so I use ChatGPT as like kind of general purpose, and because
Yeah,
I've had the longest history
the
with
history. Yeah.
it. Yeah, but I use Claude as it's just is a little bit more finesse as far as writing and how
Mm-hmm.
it speaks to me. So I use that as more like ideation and thought leadership and uh, just it just conversationally, I just think it flows a little bit better. Perplexity, I don't Google anymore. I don't know anyone
Uh,
else who Googles. So I use
right.
Perplexity for that. Usually like if I'm needing um, just answers for very random things and that I don't
It
care.
is if you do use Google, it comes up with the AI summary at the top
Yeah,
always now. Is that based on Perplexity's
yeah, I
model?
think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I use Perplexity and there's no chat history turned on there. So it's just really random stuff like this.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then I use Copilot because I love the vision. So I will show it where I'm at, what I'm doing. And then like I had it fix a computer problem for me the other day. And it's just
Oh,
really
wow.
cool. Like, yeah. Or I went shopping for a new laptop, a couple months ago. And so I walked around with it and I showed everything in Best Buy. And so it pulled up specs for me. And then we just talked back and forth about which one was better and what I needed it for. So it's really cool. Like I could show it in real life, like what's around me.
And you're actually talking your voice, because
Voice.
chat you can do that. Claude you can't yet, right?
Right, exactly. So, but
Yeah.
I
Okay.
like using Copilot because I feel like it does it really well.
Uh-huh. Does
So
it treat you better because you used to work at Microsoft?
it doesn't. Maybe I don't know. I don't. It doesn't know. But I'm used to that. What else? Notebook LM is pretty amazing.
Okay.
Just load a ton of stuff up there, and it creates kind of like these visual representations of it. Um, Claude is fantastic for coding, like coding apps and stuff. Like you could
Uh-huh.
just,
I haven't used it. That's way
oh,
beyond where I haven't used it for that yet. I
fun.
know people who have. Like I know I've got people who are running companies and
Yeah,
they're like, instead of like estimating software or something like that, they will build like their own bespoke version with Claude. And it's been pretty
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I think Claude could work. It's fantastic for prototyping an idea. Like you can vibe
Uh-huh.
code it and figure it out. And I meet a lot of founders that do that. I still believe that in order to make it production ready and deployable, and you have that infrastructure of security and things like that, you still need like engineers to help you
Right.
with that. And teams.
Right. But it's like just the prototyping aspect of it, it's saving you months.
Oh, months and money.
Yeah.
Because it used to take 50,000 just to even get a prototype going, things like that. And
Right.
because so many people are like you can bootstrap and build an app maybe with like $5,000 or something just because of computing and power
Yeah.
and everything. But yeah, it's very doable with that, and it's so fun. Like I've built games, I've built productivity apps. It's great. I just don't have enough time in my day, and like once you start, it's just like like, it takes
Yeah.
a bit of time, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Um, let's go back to the philosophy stuff.
Yeah.
So in your lifetime, in my lifetime, it seems like humans, like the value of a human is based on productivity
Hmm.
and efficiency and kind of output.
Yeah.
If that's no longer a constraint, what is the value of a human being?
Hmm.
And
So
is that even the right question?
yes, yes. So so let me put it in terms that are really relatable. So we talk about reduction of headcount, lots of layout
Yeah.
and things like that. And so um, anytime there's a huge reduction at one of these big tech companies, I get a lot of people messaging me like, "What is my identity now that I'm no longer producing output for a corporation or enterprise? Like, what do I do? I've been doing the same job for a long time.
Right.
What do I do?"
And if that job is going away, it's not just that I got laid off. It's like I'm not going to find that role anyplace else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how I coach people is that I say, first of all, you got to take care of your nervous system because you don't want to be in reactive mode and make an emotional decision, right? You can't, and jumping
Right.
into another job immediately, that job also could be at risk. So you're going to
Right.
enter this cycle of uncertainty and unknown. The better approach is I would take a look at the career that you've had And in between the titles, in between the tasking, the outputs, the things that you were told to do, there was things that you, there are themes, things that you naturally have an aptitude for, right? Were you really good at collaborating with people? Were you a connector? Were you someone that had really great ideas? Were you someone that introduced like things from your side hobbies like music and painting and art, but had it in more of a technical career? Like, what are those themes? What are things that delighted you as a child, but you had to put that aside because you needed to have a career that made money? What are those things? And what I did is I used AI to help me find those themes when I first left corporate. And I went a long walk and just talked about it, about my career and what things I did. And from that, I pulled out the stuff that made me human, what was delightful and made me feel really true to myself. And so
what are those things?
I am, even though I'm an introvert, I'm a huge people person. Nothing makes me happier than connecting someone with another person that also changes their lives. And I love doing that. And I'm really happy that I get invited on stages and I get to speak about the future and things like that. And because of that, I can connect to people. And that makes me super, super happy. And then I built my career around it. I built my company around that. And so I've met people who said, wow, well, I was a DJ and I loved music, but then I became a chief of staff. I'm like, so how does that, like, can you translate, like, what were some of the similarities and things like that? And after talking to me, they're like, oh my gosh, that's
kind of the same job.
Yeah, it's the same job, same title, right?
Yeah.
So once you have time to like get away from the back-to-back meetings or reports, blah, 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 and you give yourself, and you have a calm nervous system, and you give yourself to just like think, and then really hone in to like, wow, what were the things that really made me delighted? And think back to like childlike delight, right? Because we all started with something that made us really happy and really good that we pursued. And so if you go back to that, and then if you traverse a little bit forward through your career, you're going to see hints of that happening throughout your career that you kind of tampered down because you were, chasing the title or had to do stuff for work. But there were underlying things that you were really good at that we forgot, that we put aside. So if you can find that again, and find ways to tap into that. And people will say, well, I can't make a living out of that. And I say, who told you that? Who said that to you? Challenge that belief.
Well, and we all have, I mean, you were talking about kind of, I'll call it hiding at work, right? I can't but I mean, that started way before we ever had jobs. Our parents told us we needed to be practical or we needed to be whatever. I mean, I was this kind of dreamer kid. I mean, I remember going to see, I'm old enough that I saw Star Wars when it originally came out, and it was amazing. And I thought, oh my, and there was this element of like, the future and the galaxy far, far away and just possibilities and whatever. And I remember walking out of the theater and I was with my parents and my mom looked at me and she said, Jeff, if you liked that, you're weird. And it just crushed me.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, oh, I like the things that I'm most passionate about, I have to hide. And it took me years to have the courage to like, oh, actually, I'll let this little thing out, or actually I'm interested in this thing. And, the books on my nightstand were about spirituality and neuroscience. And like, that's what I was doing when I was in my job. And it turned out there was a career in all that. And it took me decades to figure that out, but like finally letting that stuff out, it's like, that's who you're supposed to be in the world.
Exactly.
And if there's any hope for me in any of this, it's that AI makes all of that a lot easier.
Yes, it does. It helps me discover that for myself. And I encourage other people to also do that too. But I see this as a great opportunity. Like these tools are so accessible to help you create a business around that. But like, I would challenge anyone, revisit the part in your life where someone told you you're weird or you couldn't do this thing.
Right.
Maybe this is a great time to say, wait a minute, things are different now. Maybe I can't.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
this is my calling, or maybe this is my new identity that I could evolve into. And it's scary. It takes courage to do that because now you're going against a belief system that you inherited or you built around yourself or things like that. And it takes intention and courage to kind of dismantle that. But for those that do,
Yeah.
it can be rewarding. It can be great.
Yeah. Oh, it's great on your nervous system too, because there's the part of it, at first you're like, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this," and then like when you actually are able to do it, and you're actually able to see that the world will reward you for doing that, it's like, oh, I can finally be myself. This is
Exactly.
amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 And I'm hearing, and I meet with founders daily, all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always hear origin stories and things like that. And so those are, who I hang out with now. And so my calling also is to help people that have been in these like corporate structures for so long and are
Hmm.
curious to like finally like, what if I can be an entrepreneur? What if I could do something that I'm passionate about and make a business around it? And so I kind of help people navigate through that as well. But yeah, I think this time right now is a great opportunity to do so because, with AI, instead of seeing it as a fearful thing that is going to take something away that you've done for so long, what if it's an amplifier to push you towards a path that you actually were really meant to be on in the first place?
Right.
Your true self.
Right. So in your work with founders, are you helping them with that? Like, are you working one-on-one with people? Do you have a group of people you work with or communicate with? Like, what does that look like for you?
All of the above. So
Okay.
yeah, I work with founders. Mostly I work with founders who um, are engineers by heart,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then they built something really cool, but they don't know how to run a business or
Yeah.
or understand how to be a founder or take their vision and actually make it marketable and something that people will buy. And so I will either work one-on-one or within their startup, and in various different ways. And so I'm really flexible in that. But and then I also work at the enterprise level with large companies as well. But I think what differentiates me from other AI consultants or other product advisors is I really double down on the human aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it. Of
Yeah.
hey, things are changing. Let's not forget that humans have a huge role to play in this. Even though AI is very pivotal and changing a lot of things right now, humans aren't becoming obsolete, right? There's
Right.
not going to happen anytime soon.
Right.
And so what does that mean? And so I really double down on that, and I really help people navigate through that, whether in the startup community, at the enterprise level, or teaching young minds at the university level. I've even spoken for middle school kids as well. They're already using AI.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Of course they are. Of course
right.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it like being a technical person who's going to, talk to young people and say, hey, man, major in liberal arts?
Yeah, it's changed, right? The safe bet was a computer science degree, right? Accounting, finance,
Yeah.
legal. That was
Yeah.
a safe bet for so long. And that's what your parents pushed you to go do.
Well, yeah. And college was kind of for, maybe 3 decades, whether it was engineering or computer science or finance, business, law, it was basically trade school,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
right?
big
Yeah.
time. Yeah, but now I think the real leverage and the power in the future are those who understand human behavior, human psychology, human jobs that have human touch points. Therapists, doctors, psychologists, those still have like a huge role. Academics,
Salespeople.
salespeople.
Seriously. No, I mean, like large enterprise sale, I mean, all of it is how many different relationships do I have, and how do I know what all of their agendas are like, and how do I think about the psychology? I mean, it's,
Yes,
yeah, a good salesperson, that job will never go away.
exactly. I mean, sales
Yeah.
has been around for centuries, right?
Yeah.
It's sales and therapists for
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
many times. So,
Right.
um,
Right.
but yeah, that it is weird because I've been in the tech world since I'm going to age myself, but I was there uh, working in Silicon Valley during the whole .com phase.
Yeah,
And
hey,
so,
yeah, I was around then too. I think I'm probably significantly older than you, but yeah, I mean, I remember those times. Sure.
it feels
Yeah.
like that now, but 10
Yeah.
times more, right? And
Right.
so when I go and speak to these young minds that are, very close to entering the workforce in a
Hmm.
couple of years, um, you know, I I encourage them, like, don't just go and learn for a specific job,
Right.
expand and, and be diverse and learn more things, like learn about, psychology and sociology, go to meetups, go to in real life things. So you
Hmm.
learn how to
Hmm.
interact with each other and not behind
Yeah.
it. Like do those real life stuff, because I think in the very near future, our products are going to cater to humans in that way rather than
Yeah. It's so interesting when I watch my teenager and kids his age. It's like there's this in between generation almost that is so attached to their screens.
Mhm.
And now because of AI, they're actually going to have to like pull back
Yes.
and learn to relate in the real world again, because the technical, I mean, yeah, you can go down that rabbit hole if you want to, but the things that will be valued are things that are kind of out here.
Yes, and we're definitely, if you I'm a nerd, and I'm a product person, right? And so I obsessively follow the app store.
Okay.
I like to see what are the trending apps that
Uh-huh.
people are downloading and using and writing. And so I'm always on the app store looking to see like what's happening, because it's an indicator of what products are moving, especially in the software world. And you're
Yeah, sure.
seeing a higher uptick of products that just curate human experience.
Mm,
People are willing to pay
wow.
$20 just to show up at a coffee shop where other like-minded humans are. You know,
Yeah.
like that's the trend that's happening right now, like getting away out of our digital products to actually be face to face with humans. And yes, it's weird that we're using apps to help us do that, because we're not, like, we need a little boost to be out there.
Uh-huh.
People are willing to pay for that, and that's having a huge moment right now. And I don't know where we're going to be in a year or so from now as far as products, but I believe it's going to be products that cater to human experience.
Not to stereotype, but are your engineer founders having trouble navigating this world where it's like, oh, it's not about who creates the most elegant code anymore. I actually have to create something of value and then go talk to people about it.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Exactly. And I actually write this about this in LinkedIn a lot, because when you're an engineer, you can fall into the trap of keep refining these features and, like,
Mm-hmm.
keep doing it because that's safer than actually asking for customer feedback. Because
Oh,
if you
yeah.
get customer feedback and they hate what you're building, then that hurts. It's, like, and it's hard to do that. So being an engineer and being a business person are two different things. And when you're a founder, you have to mash them together. And that's hard,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's not taught how to do. You kind of, as an entrepreneur, you have to stumble your way. That's part of the
It's not
journey.
even really taught, like that skill set of iteration through going out and getting feedback. That isn't really taught anywhere. That's like a real world skill.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
the whole, have you heard of rejection therapy?
I have. Yes. Yeah.
Right. So the more that you get rejected, the more you build resilience against it. And so
Right.
I met a founder the other day, and I liked his product, but I'm like, it's not quite there, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, out of 100 people, you're the first one to give me a negative review. And I'm like,
Hmm.
you're not doing it right then. Like, you should
Yeah.
give us
Yeah.
negative feedback in the beginning as much as possible and get used
Right.
to that negative criticism. That way you can build a product that actually has a product market fit that people will buy. Because
Well, and if you can build your ChatGPT to give you that, you can at least get used to the idea of it. And then when you get it from a person, it won't feel quite as horrible.
exactly, exactly. So I think that's a lot of fear from early first time founders because they
Yeah.
fear that rejection of, okay, I built this thing, and it is scary to put it out there because you've spent time and money and things like that. But that's
Well,
part of having a business.
yeah. Well, and you think about our whole educational system, and it's all set up to, what's the question everyone asked in class? Is this going to be on the test?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And everything was like, well, what do I need to do to get the 98 or the 99 or the 100? It wasn't like, well, is this the right exam?
Mm-hmm.
We never asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're coming to the end of our time. I could talk to you for hours, Yen, but as you think about, I'm going to ask you to reveal some of like your own kind of future planning. You said you will go, you'll time travel.
Yeah.
Like as you think about what you're doing and what that looks like in the next 2-3 years, what do you see for you and for your community?
I want to build things that change people's lives. I know people say that, but I truly, truly want to. I'm searching for founders and people that are building products that actually help humans in a very human experience type of way. Not products that make us be more productive, but products that
Mm-hmm.
make us be more human. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's hard because what is it to now be more human, right? And that's a
Right.
tough question to answer. And so that's been my journey the last few years, and I think it will continue to be my journey the next couple of years of what things can we build that can amplify our human potential in very human ways and not in digital ways that make us work at the product. The product should be working for us. And so I'll be out there. I'll be talking about the future and AI and impact to humans, but I'm also a product person too. So I want to build products that make us happier. And whether that brings us back to being artisans again and double
Yeah.
on making amazing art and music and things in the world that is lovely and beautiful and spreads joy and happiness. If I can play a small role in that, then that I think that would be a great path forward. So yeah, that's what I envision, and I hope that I'm lucky to continue with that.
That's amazing. Okay, I don't know if this will be my last question or not. So I'm going to stop saying it's my last question. But every founder I've talked with has confessed that there is a way that they get in their own way. What's yours?
I want to help everybody.
Mm.
And that's hard because there's only one of me and I'm a solopreneur. And so I have to be okay with, that's why I'm a connector as well. I'll say,
Yeah.
okay, this person can help you. I can't always help you, but I want to help everyone. And that's hard because time is limited. Time is our limited resource that we can't change. Right. And so that I have to remember that I can't spread myself too thin and I can't help everyone. And I wish I did. And so I'm trying to find platforms and ways that I could spread the message a little bit further. But yeah, that's how I get in my own way.
So go back to the first one, the kind of the vision, right? And helping people change the world, all these wonderful things. And that limitation of you can't help everybody. Mm-hmm. So what's one thing that you could get really disciplined about saying no to that would help you actually realize your vision?
Oh, I need to probably say no to things that isn't part of my focus and my strategy. Mm-hmm. like I shouldn't build this game app that's been in my and I love building apps that has to do with survival out in nature and alien encounters and things like that. And I know that the market is overly saturated with those type of games, but those like I really want to build that. But then I also need to, do things that will help my business thrive and to also enable humans in their lives. So, but then there's also this nerd side of me like, yeah, and go build that game. And that would be only.
Well, are you building it to make money or are you building it because it's fun?
It's because it's fun.
Yeah, you need some fun. I mean, that's a balance too, right? How much is like work and how much is just like giving yourself creative license to exercise different parts of your brain.
Yes, but I did that a little too much in 2025. And so 2026, I made it a goal that I had to hang out with humans more. And so I'm networking and being out there and being very intentional with my time in that. But there is always this nagging voice like, yeah, and go build that game that no one else will play but you. So I have to say no to that.
Well, Yen, it has been a pleasure having this conversation with you. I would love to like interact with you in the real world anytime. How should people reach out to you if they want to find out more about what you do or want to have you speak at an event of theirs? We're going to post your contact information in the show notes, but where's the best place to like keep track of what you're up to?
I am always on LinkedIn. You can find me
always. Okay.
Yen Anderson. When people meet me for the first time virtually or whatever, they say, you're always in my newsfeed. And I say, sorry. I'm sorry. I read about AI a lot because that was what I'm passionate about. But yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Substack. You can go to my website, yenanderson.com. But the best way is just to send me a DM on LinkedIn and just to say hi.
All right. Yen, thank you for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening to this episode of the Pick Now podcast. It's been a great conversation, and we'll see you next time with another one. Take care.